So now, well, we pretty much, within bracketing, talked about adjustments and how much stuff is worth, like square footage, bathrooms, bedrooms, those types of things. Is there anything you want to add there?
Sure, I didn't go into like specific amounts. Again, this is another question I get asked a lot by agents. Because my wife is an agent and she tells everyone that she's married to an appraiser, I get a lot of calls, which I'm always happy to field calls.
That's why you're here.
That's why I'm here, hey. So usually people say, okay, how much is a bathroom worth? And again, it's a range. A high-end home where we're looking at multi-millions and the bathrooms and the level of finishes, those are gonna be worth more than maybe this 2,000 square foot Rambler we're talking about in Taylorsville or Restored or Magna, right? Excluding the very far edges again, usually my first inclination when I'm doing reports is to say a bathroom's worth about $5,000, right? Half bathroom, $2,500, right? That's the amount of adjustments I'm going to make for a bathroom, plus or minus a bathroom.
And there's some debate on 3/4 baths. You pretty much either say it's a full bath if it has a shower, or it's a half bath if there's no shower.
Yeah, and that's not my opinion. That's something that's standardized within appraising. Is
Sweet.
You're a full or you're a half.
Got it.
We don't delineate 3/4 baths, and we don't value them any differently on the reports either.
So a good guideline is $2,500 for a half bath, $5,000 for a full bath.
Yep.
That could get broken one way or the other if it's an ultra high-end home or some other place.
Yeah, or if it's really not nice or small or things like that.
Right, or if most comps have a 2 bath and you have a subject that only has a 1 bath, that could get hit maybe more than $5,000.
No, that's usually I'll make
that's
the $5,000 adjustment, and then I'll have to find a sold comp that only has 1 bathroom too, because I've got to bracket that.
Got it. Okay.
Bathrooms usually $5,000. Same with garages. Garages start at $5,000 for a garage bay between a 2 and a 3 car garage. And I feel like that's a little low. 5,000 is a little low on that end. And so typically I'll bump those up to $10,000 pretty easily if it's a 2.
$10,000 per bay.
Sure. If you've got a 2 and the neighbor's got a 3, I'll usually adjust down or value that 3rd car garage at least $10,000.
One question on garages, and this is like a personal issue I have, but I think a lot of people in Utah have it.
Yeah.
Like I'm one of those that has a big RV garage. It's only, you might call it 2 wide, but it's super deep. Yeah. You can only base it on the width of bays, or you can...
I can base it on whatever I like.
Okay, got it.
Some of that, freedom that we appraisers have to say it's our opinion. If it's a double deep garage, I can value that as a 4-car garage or a 5-car garage. But
so if you had like a 20 by 40 garage, you wouldn't just say that's a 2-car. You might call that a 4 or a 5 or a 6.
Yeah, depending. And what's hard about that is that's not a very specific data point that's readily available to me. That's something I gotta go read through notes, or I gotta really scrutinize pictures.
Right.
And usually pictures of the interior of garages are not highly there's not a ton of those.
Right.
Yeah, on listings. It's usually the kitchens and the bathrooms and the big selling points. So sometimes that's not a data point I have.
Got it.
So if all I have is exterior pictures of garages, then I'm going to say, okay, well, there's 3 garages, there's a 2 garage, and there's a 1 garage or a 3 garage. Maybe all of them go deep, and you could fit 10 cars in there, but I might not know that, right? And so I have to be able to find the data point to be able to compare it. So that one's difficult. Detached structures, a lot of times people have a detached garage or a shop. Usually I can find a general size of it on tax records.
Oh yeah.
But if I can't, then I'm guesstimating. Okay, that looks, I don't know, how many cars do you fit in, 4 or 5? And
right.
And maybe sometimes I say, okay, that's a shop, it's not really garage, there aren't garage doors, it's just a door into a shop, and I'll kind of look at it and say, okay, I think maybe that building, $20,000, $25,000.
Got it.
Something like that. Again, it's an estimate. I've got to find something with a detached structure to bracket that feature and try to determine how much more that's sold because of that one feature, isolate it after making all the other adjustments.
But in general, it's about $10,000 per garage bay.
Yeah, 5 to 10, and then it goes up. Sometimes downtown Salt Lake, having a 2-car garage behind the 1940s Rambler bungalows, those sell for way more than ones that have more.
Right.
So sometimes it's wow, I can show that they're paying a ton more for a garage. So it's all dependent. But yeah, general 5-10 grand.
What about a bedroom?
So actually, I don't make adjustments for bedrooms.
Oh, really? Okay. What if there's only one bedroom?
Usually.
Okay. Yeah.
Typically in a single family home, I make adjustments for square footage and bathrooms, but the number of and size of bedrooms you want, I chalk that more up to personal choice, personal preference.
Within the same square footage.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. If you're I'm going back to this Rambler all the time. If you're a 1,100 square foot Rambler and you've got 3 bedrooms and 2 baths, but I'm the same size, but I took 2 of those small bedrooms and I made it into a big master bedroom. So now I only have 2 bedrooms and 1 bath. I'd say those both have similar desirability, right? There are some people
Just
that might
a different
prefer
family.
the 3 bedrooms, and there's some families that might prefer a larger master and only 1 bedroom on the main level. That's going to come down to personal preference, and I usually am just going to make size and bathroom and amenity adjustments when it comes down to bedroom count. I usually don't make those unless I need to or I really see that it's a difference. A lot of that comes back down to sometimes making those adjustments for condos and townhomes. Maybe the condo is only 900 square feet, but the 2 bedroom is maybe 1,000 square feet or 1,100 square feet, where the 200 square foot size adjustment isn't enough. Right? Like it's selling for more, and I'm saying, okay, it's because of the bedroom now, and then I'll make a bedroom adjustment.
Got it.
But generally, I don't make bedroom adjustments.
And
It's
so
definitely never in the basement. It's like, do you want a theater or do you want 2 more rooms?
Doesn't
That's
matter.
whoever's buying the house, and they can, those things change all the time.
So let's talk about square footage adjustments. There's a certain general dollar amount per square foot above grade and below grade.
Yeah. So and these have changed a lot recently. As values go up, the adjustments also need to go up to be able to make significant changes. If I valued, so right now typically I'm looking at above grade square footage dollar valuation at somewhere between like $40 and $60 per square foot, depending on how nice you are in the area. And
how nice the home is, not how nice you are.
Oh yes, not how nice you. Yes,
attending the appraisal.
Exactly. And that makes sense because if you're an $800,000 home, I need to make. If I'm trying to make a 3 to 5% adjustment for size, I can't base it on like a $20 or $30 square footage adjustment because those adjustments will be really
tiny,
small,
right?
So those have crept up as values have crept up to be able to make something that's a significant adjustment. To say, we're significantly going to make an adjustment for size. So yeah, typically above grade, $40 to $60 a square foot. Below grade right now, I usually start. So on an appraisal, the below grade square footage gets broken out into total area, and then finished area, and then bathroom count. So total area, I'm usually looking at like $10 a square foot for just unfinished, area. If you have an unfinished basement and I have an unfinished basement, the difference in size, I'm gonna say it's $10 a square foot for the difference in size.
Got it.
The finished area, I usually double that, so I'm at like $20 a square foot.
So then finished square footage is actually worth 30.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, got it.
So $30 a square foot is usually my starting point. Again, it can go up and go down.
And is it generally worth about half? So above grade's about 60, below grade, if it's finished, is worth about 30.
Yeah, that's kind of how it is right now. I would say that's, I guess, typically what I'm doing right now. Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah. Sometimes if I'm at the $50 a square foot for above grade, I'm probably still at the $30 for below, so it's not exactly half. But yeah, that's probably a general
rule of thumb.
Yeah.
Above grade square footage is worth about 2 times ish.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. Anything else on adjustments that we need to speak to? Acreage.
Acreage adjustments, those vary widely. I think I usually start at like $2 a square foot for acreage adjustments right now, and that's for maybe your standard like 0.2 to 0.3 of an acre type thing. If you're on multiple acres, then those will change quickly, and I'll have to do a lot of
it's like cost per acre type thing.
Cost per acre. But yeah, if you're just a kind of a typical house in the valley, you're looking at $1.50 to $2 per square foot for the difference in acreage right now.
Got it. So you basically take the acreage and turn that into square footage.
I do, yeah.
Google, it's what, 43,560?
43560, yeah, is a full acre. So
Yeah.
whatever point, if you're 0.22, then on the report it'll show acreage and it'll show, 2,272 square feet. It breaks it down to a square
Oh, you
foot.
do break that down on the appraisal. Okay.
Unless
cool.
it's over an acre, then it shows 1.2 or 1
Something.
or 2, yeah.
Got it. So one thing that I wanted to bring up here was maybe stress to realtors or even homeowners that are here, what information would be valuable when you go to a home to appraise it? What information is allowed and what information is valuable for them to give you? I mean, I see a lot of value in saying, hey, there's some uniqueness here, here, and here on this house. And these are things you should pay attention to because of the neighborhood. I mean, generally you're gonna kind of know it, but
Sure.
What information can they give you and what maybe should they gear you up with when you go attend the appraisal?
I would say, give as much as you can. I think some appraisers, I've heard agents talk about appraisers, kind of turning their nose up at being given comps or being given data. I'm not a prideful person, so I'm totally fine with taking whatever you've got to give me. And I think it is valuable, especially talking about some of the upgrades you've done. Talk about, especially time frames. Something on our report that we note is if the kitchens and the bathrooms are updated and what the time frame is. Within the last year, within the last 5 years, within the last 10 years. So I think that's important. Say, hey, we did our kitchen in the last 2 or 3 years. We did the bathroom, 6 months ago. So definitely talk about upgrades. Talk about anything unique about your home, sure. I get handed comparables a lot, which is fine. Again, a lot of people don't know how I look at comparables, so sometimes I'll look at them and I'll think, oh, okay, well, you gave me a bunch of 2-stories, and you gave me a bunch of listings for a Rambler. I'm probably not going to use any of these, sorry. I don't say that to them in the moment because I'm always like, okay, I'll take a look at these, and I just take them on my clipboard and away I go. But I'd say, yeah, tell them anything you can. Anything you think is pertinent to your home's value, go for it. Something I said when I was here about refinancing, me as an appraiser, I can never come in and be like, hey, how much are you wanting for this? How much are you hoping to get out of this appraisal? That'll lose me my license real quick. But if you as a homeowner are having someone come in and refinance your house, there's nothing wrong with saying, hey, we're really hoping that, this is around like 550. This is what's gonna make it work for us, or, because then you're giving us a target that may sway that bell curve, right? And things that have happened, which I feel sick about sometimes, is I come in at 550 and they say, okay, well, this didn't work for us and this was at 555. Okay, well, it's hard for me to go back in, especially if you don't have any reasons
and swing
for me to say, actually, you know what, it's $5,000 more now. Because that looks bad on me and my license, right? And I'm like, oh, I'm really sorry, because I probably could have gone 5 up or down either way because it was within the reasonable range, but I didn't know what you were needing. And so I guess it's a little bit of a gray area. I can't ask, I never would, but if somebody says, hey, we're really hoping this comes in at 525 or more, oh, okay, well, I mean, hey, if that's there and that's reasonable, I'd love to get it for you, but if it's not, it's not,
Right.
Don't hate me.
It's not like it's going to change your mind, but So really, I think the big takeaway is comps if you have them, and a summary of any data points that you feel are important, whether it's maybe that garage and similar comps that sold with the garage, or it's upgrades, or some unique feature about the house, things that are not easily viewed when you pull the MLS to look at comps. They want to be highlighting and summarizing some of those data points.
Yes, agreed.
Okay, cool.
Whatever you can give them is great.
So
if they turn their nose up at you, then that's on them, not you.
Yeah, whatever. So you may as well just try. So time adjustments. Let's talk about how we can make those work. They're really, really important in today's market. And one thing I'd like you to speak to is this whole belief that perhaps we see appreciation start to taper down. We're seeing appreciation still like nearing or maybe upwards of 20% per year. As that starts to shift to maybe a more normalized market, how will that change how you work with time adjustments?
So definitely.
And explain what a time adjustment is.
Okay, yeah. As agents out there, so when I make a time adjustment, I'm making a time of sale adjustment. I'm saying something that sold a year ago is not equal to something selling today. And that if you look at the market data, you can show that values generally in this area have gone up by 20 to 25%. So the value of a home a year ago theoretically should be at least 25% higher today.
Mm-hmm.
And so on a report, that's broken down to a per month percentage. So usually when I do time adjustments right now, I'm saying, okay, give me a 1 to 2% per month increase for whatever the sales price was, for however many months ago the contract was written. It's based on the contract date, not on the sales date.
And that's not based on a feeling, that's based on data. And you have a website that's easily accessible here for Salt Lake, or maybe Utah in general. Maybe give that website real quick because it's data driven.
Yeah, so a very quick one to go to, sltrib.com/home prices. That breaks it down per county, per zip code, and it does it every quarter. So right now if you went, it would show you Q1 median home prices per zip code 2022 versus Q1 median home prices in 2021. And it'll show you just a straight percentage. And most of them are in the 15 to 20 to 25 range right now. Some of them don't.
So they give an annual figure quarter over quarter,
Yep.
and then you just divide that by 12 and times by how many months?
Bingo. That's
Okay,
it. Yeah,
sweet.
easy as that. And so yeah, I'm doing that definitely if it's over 90 days ago. Sometimes if I need it and it looks like it's reasonable, I'll do it for 60 days. Usually if you're sold in the last 30 days,
It's the same.
yeah, you're not going to get a big
Right.
hit out of there anyways. But anything over the last 90 days definitely should be having time adjustments. And I would say to agents, if you're ever trying to go to a reconsideration of value, make sure that the appraiser, if he used comps that are more than 90 days old, was making time adjustments and demand that they do, because there's no way you could argue right now that they're not needed.
Right, time adjustments are a guarantee. Let's touch on, well, we've got one thing, which is reconciliation of final value, and then I want to give, maybe from your perspective, the best tips and takeaways for a reconsideration of value, because I think that's a common thing today.
Yeah, so reconciliation is again a word that appraisers use a lot. It's actually in the report a couple times about reconciliation and how we reconcile value. So basically I've selected comparables, I've made all the adjustments, and now let's say I used 4 sold comparables. Now I have 4 adjusted sales values that are within a range. Some are high, some are low. How do I distill that down into one single number? And that's what we refer to when we're talking about reconciliation. An appraisal usually isn't based on just one sale. So sometimes people say, okay, well, my neighbor sold for 800, so I should be worth at least 800, right? Maybe not, because maybe one neighbor sold for 800, but maybe a neighbor a block away sold for 775. I don't think it'd be fair for me to say you're only worth 775. Probably not fair for me to say you're absolutely worth 800. So what happens is usually we distill these adjusted sales prices down into some sort of, what I use is a weighted average of the adjusted sales prices to bring it down to more to help me see what a suitable value might be. And sometimes it's not that hard. Sometimes if the adjustments line up really nice and I've got I got 550, 555, 560, 557, I'm like, all right, you're right there in the 555, 557-ish range.
Got it.
That's awesome if you got that tight of a grouping. Sometimes it's not that pretty, and I've got like a 520, I've got like a 560, I've got a 575, and a 600. I'm like, okay, how do I reconcile those? So that's when I'll go to the weighted average of the adjusted sales prices, and then I'll try to look and see, maybe there is one house that is the most similar. Maybe it's got the lowest gross adjustments, or it's like the neighbor, or it's really close, and I'll say, okay, I'm not basing all my value on that one sale, but I'm giving that sale more weight. So maybe I've got a 600, 575, and the rest are lower, but the 575 is really close. So you know what, I'm gonna skew up because I think that 575 may be the better comp, but I can't necessarily just say none of these other comps are similar. I'm not giving them any weight, because if they're on the report, I'm saying they're similar, and then they deserve weight. So that's how eventually you've got to distill it down to one value. You've got to decide within the range where the best spot is for it. And sometimes that could be the sales price. Maybe the sales price, you say, look, I've got a big range of sales in the area. Your price is within that range and it's close to some of these, median prices. There you go. And sometimes, it's not.
And so if there's not a tight grouping, it's really boiling down to the value is going to come in pretty dang close to the comp that was the most similar. The fewest gross and net adjustments is generally speaking going to be.
In my opinion, that's what I'll start to look for.
Yeah, and that's what I see most commonly as a lender as well.
Yeah.
It's, you know, they kind of take that one and more or less ignore the highs and the lows.
Yeah.
And focus on the very similar one.
I would say it's uncommon, at least for me and the other appraisers I know. It's somewhat uncommon to say, okay, there was a sale at 800, and all the rest of them were way lower, but we're going to appraise you at 800.
Right.
That's not a defendable position, and sometimes appraisers look at the reports on how well can I defend this if I'm put in front of the licensing committee and they're saying prove it.
Right.
That's what we don't.
Yeah.
We want to be able to CYA.
Yeah, it's not like you want to kill deals, but you have to protect yourself, and it's got to be a legitimate value within a range.
Yeah.
Cool. So ROVs, reconsideration of value.
Yeah.
What are the trying to distill like 3 or 4 big takeaways for realtors and homeowners out there that might need to fight an appraisal that's low?
Yeah.
What do you think the best tips are?
Well, I would echo what I said before: is you got to show me the comps. Like Jerry Maguire, show me the money.
Mm-hmm.
You got to show me comps. If you're gonna come and try to get a reconsideration of value, look at the comps they used, and you've got to find comparables that are either closer, more similar, or have a more similar set of amenities and level of upgrades.
Mm-hmm.
To say my comp here that you ignored is a better indicator of value than the ones you put on the report. So that's where you got to start, right? Look for better comps.
Or at least the same. So if all of your comps were within a half a mile, they can't supply comps that were a mile away because they're probably going to be disputed.
Definitely not over a mile. If all my comps are within a mile and I'm sent anything that's over a mile, that's easy for me to say, oh.
What if all your comps were within a quarter mile and they send 1/2 a mile away?
I'd probably still use it because it's within that 1 mile bubble.
So you would take that into consideration and... Okay.
That wouldn't be the reason I would immediately kick it.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Got it. Okay. That's
So yeah, you gotta start by finding better comparables. Don't break the bubbles. If it's a Rambler, don't send 2 stories. If it's a 2-story, don't send Ramblers, things like that.
Mm-hmm.
Go after them for time adjustments. And then one of the other big adjustments we make are condition adjustments. Something that's decked out and brand new with nice finishes.
Or a flip or
something.
something.
Or a flip
like
or
that.
something that's maybe 1990s or 2000 level updates. You can make condition adjustments.
Mm-hmm.
See if they made those. See how much they are. Question them on how they came up with those values, and maybe argue that they should be higher or lower.
Got it. So you really, on that point, you really want them, if they haven't elaborated enough, you want to get to a point of like forcing their hand to elaborate why there wasn't something or why the adjustment was too large in different cases.
Yeah, you got to go after them with new comparables, or you have to look at the adjustments they made, and if they didn't explain them well enough, say, hey, we think they should be less. Show us how you got to these, because we figure they should be less or more. And then what are some other things to go after?
I mean, I almost think, like, I want to summarize a couple things though. Obviously comps that are within a mile, similar size, all these things. Good comps that are sold, not listed, not under contract.
Right.
That's the biggest one. Arguing condition or time adjustments is another big one, and make them elaborate on why it was or wasn't included.
Right.
And any material misrepresentations, square footage, room count, bathroom count, garage count, those types of things seem like the low-hanging fruit on an ROV.
Exactly, that'll get you the most bang for your buck. And there was a listing, or it was one of my wife, I think they were purchasing, and it came back low, and they had me look at it. And I said, oh, well, they measured incorrectly, and I could show how on the measurement for the square footage came out way different because they measured differently. So that's, they obviously had the size wrong. Size is a big one.
So pay a lot of attention to that.
And I think maybe I have some do nots, some like things to not do, which I've kind of stated. Don't start sending things that are over a mile if everything they used is within a mile. If you have to close your eyes to the subdivision and go 2 miles away to support your value, that's not going to hold up on a appraisal.
Right.
Unless the house that I'm appraising was built in like the last 3 to 5 years, don't send me brand new 2022 builder comps. Those
They've got to be lived in homes, basically.
Yeah, usually brand new homes are compared to brand new homes or homes lived within the last 2 to 3 years, right? If the home was built more than 5 or 6 years ago, unless I can't find homes that were built 5 to 6 years ago, I'm not going to use the brand new stuff because that's got a different appeal. It's got a superior appeal to people. Again, don't break those bubbles. You gotta send comps that are similar. And if you do that, you've got a chance. You start breaking those bubbles and going far away, it makes it really easy for me to say, nope, mine are more similar, sorry.
Right, yeah, so you want to make the appraiser think, not give them low-hanging fruit to decline it, because
cool. And again, I'm not a prideful person, and I change values when I'm wrong, and I have no problem with that. But I'd like to, back myself up if I can,
Yeah, so. For sure. Cool. Well, I think that was really good. Do you have any other last-minute points, things that you want to interject that we haven't hit on?
Just that, appraisers are your friend. We're nice people.
Even when the value comes in.
Even when the value is low, we're usually sorry. And I think generally we're reasonable people. We can work well together. Me and my wife are proof that agents and appraisers get along just fine.
Live in the same household most of the time.
Yeah, and like you said, honestly, it should be a collaboration between two groups. And there's a knowledge gap, and maybe a gap of understanding of where appraisers and agents come from that both sides don't understand very well. So I think it's important to try to bridge those with things like this.
Yeah, for sure. Well, dude, I thank you for coming on and explaining all this stuff. I think it's huge. And everybody, thank you for tuning in. If there's any additional questions, anything that we missed or confused you on, comment on this episode and let us know what we need to clarify. We'll have Landin back to re-clarify. This is a complicated topic. But like he said, I think something huge to go over and try and simplify the difference between an appraisal value and maybe what you might list it for and why we see these differentiations in what we think the value is as a homeowner or a realtor and what the appraiser comes back at. So anyway, thanks everybody for tuning in. You can follow us at Loans Elevated. Landin Arnett, thank you so much for joining, and we'll catch you next time.